My name is Chris and snowmobiling is my passion. This wide open podcast is here to share stories, tips, and tactics to make you a more successful backcountry rider. Well, howdy everybody. Yes, a podcast. It's coming. That means our season is starting. I'm joined by my good friend Blake. Blake, normally your ugly mug is behind the camera, and I forced you to get in front of the camera this morning. How you doing, dude?
Doing pretty good. It's the mornings are getting a little colder, and it's getting to be time. So
yeah, well, I'll set the stage for you guys. It's late August. This is kind of our. I know it looks like on the surface that like from social, all I do is go out in the woods and try to find animals this time of year, which there is a little bit of that. But to be honest, it's super busy in the shop. A lot of this is the time behind the scenes where we're getting everything ready. From the online store standpoint, for the most part, sleds and builds and all that stuff, we kind of pushed that a little bit later, into October when TJ and Dylan and the boys get here. But right now, basically, it's myself and Ashley just tackling all of the crazy stuff. And, what's kind of cool for this season, we have a bunch of new and exciting products which is great for the industry, man. I love, we're on the 2026 matrices. They came out in 22. I mean, that's the beauty when, we kind of get a little bit further down the road from a chassis standpoint that, the aftermarket guys are really cranking some really cool stuff out. And so, and one of those things we're going to talk about today. This has been a pretty big one in the making. Blake, you've been here not quite since the beginning of it, which is kind of crazy because this is year.
It's five. Something in there.
I think
4, 5, 6, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I mean, you've been here for a while.
Yeah.
So, so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the new track that a bunch of you guys, I mean, I haven't really done a great job of keeping it super top secret because, well, I just wanted to tell the world about this cool, fun new project, and so it's finally released. It's going to be releasing September 4th. We're kind of dating it. It's late August now. We're launching September 4th. So obviously this podcast will come out after the launch. So Blake, I wanted to bring you in. You've kind of been, again, like at the forefront of, watching all of the development steps.
Yep.
And I had you kind of sit down with the pen and paper last night and put your consumer hat on and basically like write down a bunch of questions that you think the folks out here watching this video or listening on their podcast platform, what questions they might have about the track. So I'll kind of preface it by saying, so this was a first ever venture endeavor, however you would like to say it, with that Camso has ever done. And so that was really exciting and intriguing. And it started all the way back in 2020 is when we first kind of came up with the idea. And I don't want to steal any of your thunder with your questions, but I just kind of want to set the preface here. So again, working with a forward-thinking company like Camso, and then, just and really in what I have tried to do for like my entire career is differentiate myself from others. You guys have heard me say this on some of the other podcasts. And that was no different in what we wanted to try to accomplish with this track is, and aftermarket parts in general and I think what's crazy, and you'll hear this in some of the questions and the answers that I talk about here is, if you think about what the goal and agenda was in 2020 versus what the goal and agenda is for 2026 from, a snow performance side of things, what we were riding back then compared to now, it makes the story of this track even crazier. And so it's been a long road. The reason it took so long was we had a bunch of challenges from that time perspective, because, a track that would have been the best in 2020 wouldn't be the best in 2026. So because it took so long and we had COVID in there and we had all these challenges, there's just been way more iterations than originally planned. And I guess for me, and you guys know this, is that I just don't settle. I don't ever use the words "it's good enough," and so I thought it might not happen, to be honest, because when Camso is investing all this time and money and effort, and then I literally say, guys, I'll be honest. Like, for example, 325 comes out from Polaris. I'm like, this is the new benchmark. We can't use the old Polaris 2.6 as the benchmark anymore. Right? Mm-hmm. And so we got to go back to the drawing board, and they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, but we got to make this thing good. So Blake, I'm going to get you kind of rolling and involved here, because you're just,
it's all good. It's all good.
You know how this works, right?
Yeah.
Like I literally sit here and everybody else just kind of nods their head.
They're like, wait, who's the other guy?
Okay. So, but we'll get rolling here. That was already 6 minutes of me, blabbing.
No, but it's good though, because people don't know that unless you tell them, right?
Yeah.
And in seeing all of the transition of, seeing the durability, seeing everything, all the changes, all the tracks are so specific and unique in how they use the compound and how the compound changes the track completely. Like a little bit of change and that changes the track completely. So seeing that, and then talking about the 2.6 benchmark, and then the 3.25 comes out, and then everybody's like, whoa, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, we need to try and do better, constantly do better. And that's the cool part about the aftermarket game.
Yeah.
And, so for you to be putting all this time into this track is really cool, because you made something better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I want to start, before we start getting into the weeds with all like the technical stuff and details and everything like that, I want to preface everything by this. And the OEMs in 2026, we are so damn lucky as the riders to be able to ride machines that are way more capable than we are. And that is awesome. And so, you're going to hear me comparing against, I'm going to be comparing against the current tracks, right? The 2.75 and the 3.25. And obviously, I'm a Polaris man through and through. I love everything about the product, the team, what they accomplish with the challenges that they have. It's amazing. So, again, the track, like 3.25, for example, is my preferred track out of the two. It's a badass track for an OEM that comes stock on your vehicle, and it works really well. And so, again, it's what we really faced from a challenge standpoint, was trying to get something to outperform the stock stuff, which is what aftermarket is.
Right. Yep.
And you guys, I hate beating a dead horse here, but it's the same thing. The worst absolute thing is to spend money to make your snowmobile perform worse than stock. And I promise you, there is a lot of products out there that do exactly that. They actually are worse for your snowmobile than better. So, again, I hope you guys understand and know, I had several goals going into this. Yep. Okay. Goal number one, obviously, it needs to, perform. It needs to be durable. I think that's what's really tricky these days, is that balance, and Blake, you were talking about it, we can make a track that would literally blow everything away on that deep powder day.
Yep.
But then you go ride it in normal snow or some where you're kind of skipping around on locks or rock,
destroy it.
And it's destroyed.
Right.
And or in spring snow, it's so soft that it folds, and it's a death track, right?
Yep.
And we've kind of been there. I remember the Arctic Attack 20 track was, talk about the absolute cheater track when the snow was good. That thing would outperform everything. But then in the spring, by that time, the paddles are folded, and going downhill was terrifying. Going uphill was terrifying. So, again, it's finding that compromise and that balance. So, again, coming back to A, it needs to perform, B, it needs to live. And then, I think for me, the biggest thing was, especially when comparing it to the new benchmark of the current, 325 track as the example, was, as we keep pushing ourselves from a riding perspective and how the sleds keep getting better, we want to just continue that saying that we all say here at BBA of being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And the way you can do that, not only from your skill set standpoint, is having that confidence in your snowmobile. And so, that was kind of, again, what it ended up being was that ended up, originally, I didn't think that was goal number one. Goal number, I had all these goals. I wanted it to be,
it's got to check all the boxes.
I wanted it to be lightweight. I wanted it to lift on top of the snow better than anything. But what it kept coming down to, especially when we kept going through different iterations of the track, was I want it to inspire confidence and handle well.
Right.
And so that ended up being, in my opinion, kind of one of the biggest things that you will see when you ride this track is like, holy shit, dude, this thing, it does everything that I want it to do from a predictability standpoint.
Right. And you gotta have that confidence, because it's no secret that we go to some pretty gnarly places, right? So when you're sitting there and you're like, death is down here,
yeah,
right? You're like, I need to know that I'm okay,
yeah, right?
And I think that having a track, having a setup, not just the track even, but the whole setup, the whole package, right?
Yep.
It's a game changer.
Yeah,
it really is.
So here's how we're gonna do this. I'm gonna get Blake rolling on the questions, but I'm gonna give you guys. You don't even know what the damn track is yet. Okay, so let's break that down. So, the track is, and this is again unique, first ever on a mountain snowmobile track. So we have two different height paddles. So the center paddle is a 3.1 inch and the outside paddles are 2.95. I'll talk to you why we did that as we kind of go through features and benefits. Another kind of some of the secret sauce on the track is the actual paddle surface, contact surface on the snow is the best in the 3.5 inch pitch class. Okay, so as far as contact on the snow, that is unmatched. So and again, these are all the things that as we're going through the development and all of that is trying to figure out how to accomplish all the check boxes of lift and handling and side hilling and getting on edge and blah blah blah, all this stuff. So weight wise, and it's interesting, and I'll talk about this. We ended up having a really cool, never before used compound on the track that made it actually really light and yet durable. However, what we ran into was, there's a price that people are willing to pay, and the problem with that material is, especially. And again, dude, there's so many facets of this story, like COVID and supply shortage of materials and all of these things, right? Well, the material that we kind of originally started going down with, which was really cool, ended up being really expensive. And so, unfortunately, we had to go away from that. Which was okay. It's fine because again, it would do no good if the track was the best ever and people couldn't afford it. Right. Yeah. And tracks, to be honest, are already at that freaking ceiling. Holy shit, $2,000 for a track, right? It's like, and we'll talk about this, and you hear me talk about the, bring up this point with a lot of the things that we sell here at BBA for $2,000. Dude, it better be a giant difference. Like if you spend $500 and you think you're like, I think that made a difference on my sled, you can still justify it. But when you're spending that kind of money, whether it's a track, shocks, anything,
need to know. You need to know, and the seat of the pants feel has to be there. It has to be there.
And I love that you word that there. And You know, it's cool, Blake. Like obviously you ride a very stock-based sled all year.
Yep.
And what's been fun is, guys like yourself where I just basically say, hey, jump on this thing just for a second and just tell me what you think. And you don't even know what's on my sled for the most part. Like, what do you think? And, I'll never forget that first time you rode it, you're like, huh, that track really works, huh? And it's like, I mean, that's the type of reaction, if you're going to go spend $2,000, that you should have.
And, coming from, consumers, like you look at me, right, being on a stock sled, like it's hard for me to get, super crazy about the lightweight stuff because I slap 50 pounds of camera gear on the back of the sled, But I can see for the guys, and I've ridden the light stuff where it's like, okay, like this makes a difference, And first time I rode, Fox shocks too, because I was just riding the stock shocks. I was like, okay, now I know why you guys can go so fast down the trail, and then when we get there, we can go do the deal, So it's very cool to see how far things have come, even since 2020, 2021, since I got here.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, and Blake, and this is why, again, I like to have you in this conversation, because so you are much like, I would say, the majority of the people who are watching this video, like if you see this product announcement and you see this track and you see it's $2,000 and you're just like, that's cool. Okay. Keep scrolling. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like you're not that type of person that would go seek out to go buy a $2,000 track.
Right.
Okay. However, when you rode it, now you're like, and exact same scenario with the shocks, right?
Yep.
You've ridden stock shocks your entire life, and then you come to BBA and, sign your second mortgage on your house and do all the stuff, right? But like once you rode Fox shocks, you're like, oh shit, now I got to figure out, okay, this has got to be a must on my sled.
Yep.
And then, to have you have that same reaction on the track, obviously, like that was a goal of ours, right? But for you guys who are just like, okay, I want to know what this is about. What am I going to see? Is it worth the money? Like, I mean, it's easy for me to say it is because I've put my heart and soul into this project.
Really wish we could put everybody on the sled
100%
to feel the difference, right? But unfortunately, that's not very cost effective.
Yeah.
So we have to try and tell you guys what we feel, and honestly, and
sure.
I think that's the biggest part about this track, and not only that, but having something. Obviously, you only put your name on stuff that is to your standard, which from working with you and everything, your standard's pretty damn high, so.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you that standard sometimes gets me in trouble, whether it's Fox or, our Polaris stuff or I mean, whatever, because it gets annoying because and not that these companies want to say it's good enough, but you can only go so far, from a cost perspective, time perspective, and all of that. But I really push that as far and hard as I can, because again, like what I fear, and this is what has been, in my opinion, the key to the success of us building our online store is, we have all the sayings, right? Like you don't have to, we don't carry a lot of stuff here at BBA. We just carry the right stuff. But my biggest fear is always this, is that if someone takes their hard-earned money, goes to our website, buys whatever, and they don't feel like they got a good experience or the bang for their buck, that is unacceptable for me. Like, it just is unacceptable. And so, again, yeah, dude, I take a lot of pride in
it's a trust thing. You want people to trust what you're doing.
Sure.
And that's just plain and simple.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. So you guys kind of got like the really quick overview. So the track is available in 155, 165. It's available for all 3.5 pitch sleds. So obviously Polaris, Skidoo, Arctic Cat Twin Rail. So it's available for, a bunch of different snowmobiles. So I'll kind of, again, as we go through the questions, we'll get more into the technical stuff. So what do you got?
Okay. So I'm going to jump around a little bit here. Well, what made you okay? So the 325 track's obviously really good, and when you started development with this, there was the 2.6, and then we started having the 2.75.
Yeah.
So what made you want to actually do a track? Like, why?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And so here's what it always comes to is that the OEMs have this incredibly tough job of building a product for this like the masses.
The masses, yeah.
And when I talk about the masses, it's not just the people, right? It's like my dad's used to man versus my used to man versus, right. There's so many used to mans on a snowmobile, yeah. Right? And then you take that and compound that with, you look at our terrain in Colorado versus the terrain in Idaho versus the terrain in BC versus yes. the terrain in Chile, right? And so like to think that there is one magic recipe for all of those use demands and all of those conditions, that's not doable. Yeah. So again, like, and that was the exact conversation with Camso is like, hey, the current offerings do a great job with this very wide task, but I want to narrow the task and I want it to be really damn good for these particular use demands, the rider, and these particular conditions. Okay. So, that's how the whole project started, was basically like, hey, instead of building a track for this amount of people, I want to build the track for this core group of riders. Yeah.
The gnarly stuff, yeah. all the things more tailored towards you, but still can be used elsewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. So let's chat about like who that customer is, what those conditions are. Right. Okay. So, as we're going along with like trying to get the marketing plan and all of this stuff, and it's changed and shifted over the years as we've been developing this. But, Camso has been in the track track development for over 30 years. Right. So they are, and they are currently, they build everybody's tracks.
Yes.
All the OEMs, they have all this agriculture stuff. Now they're owned by Michelin. They have all these resources. They are the pros when it comes to building tracks. Okay. So like, okay, cool. Like there's no better partner to go.
They're the best
to go after this, right. This task. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's obviously engineered, built by the pros, and then perfected by a person that has spent a little bit of time on the snow, and that's me. And so, again, backing up and thinking about, so who is this track really meant for? And I love to see where our industry is going from a rider standpoint. I mean, 10 years ago, when you talked about doing a hop over, that was this elite move mm-hmm. that, 3 people in the world were doing yep. and getting into this crazy terrain that now we look at, like, we laugh like, oh, that used to be hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
You go scroll on your Instagram and you're like, oh, a backflip, 270 flip. Like, you're like, how does that even work,
So,
but yeah, it's crazy.
So it went from, like this stuff that used to be just very crazy at the time from that perspective to right now it's like that's all common stuff, right? Like and so like thinking to myself, like, who's going to benefit from this? And that is this rider who is wanting to push himself into that more aggressive terrain, into that on that day that we all dream of like the freaking 3 feet of snow and you're trying to outdo your buddies, and like, that is what I had in mind of on that day. I want everything to be working for me to to succeed and to win that day, right? And so like, and you know, the track is one of the major components that can either make or break you on days like that. You know, you go put a big old stiff paddled track on a sled. Yeah, in the spring it's a hero, but you know, in those prime conditions that we all love from December to early March, that is why we snowmobile, is those cool, crisp mornings with blower pow, and that's where we want it to perform. So going back to the rider, right? Like this track was built and designed for the rider who is looking to elevate his game, have his sled outperform his expectations, outperform his buddy sled, and inspire that confidence that we were talking about earlier.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, seeing both you, TJ, you know, even Dylan riding on the new track and stuff like that, seeing some of the, obviously I watch all the GoPro stuff, and no, I don't speed it up. All you guys freaking thinking I'm speeding up footage. To see, like, just watching track speed comparisons, watching, you know, just how fast, you know, this thing can get up on top of the snow and start getting stuff done. You know, like, obviously you guys have all seen, you know, the Chris Barant line, you know, where it's just like, how is that even possible? And it's because dude's going like 65 miles an hour through the trees. But
actually,
legitimately 65 miles an hour through the trees. We have a video. I'll see if I can find one. But to have a track that gets up on top of the snow and propels you forward instead of trench, and then it kind of works up where it kind of just like, and then you're gone.
Yeah.
Right? Like, seeing that firsthand, it makes you a believer in why it took so many years to get your track, right? Like your track with your name on it to be like, okay, this is the real deal. Right.
So that brings me up to, and again, this is why we're doing it in this format. You reminded me of, so the big three, okay? The big three that this track does is it has lift, and that's something a Polaris sled does automatically. We talk about instantaneous lift and all of that. This track even makes that compounded, okay? So the track gets the sled up on top of the snow, and when you're on top of the snow, that means you can start, like, I call it levitating, you know, or the magic carpet. I mean, there's all these acronyms that I use, but when that sled is on top of the snow, what's happening is your front end is no longer this light thing that's and you're trying to chase it, okay? When you're up on top of the snow, you're driving on top of the snow, instead of when you're down in the snow, the entire time you're trying to just get up, right? And then what happens is when you're down in that position and you're not on top, you cannot gain speed. You cannot get going. Right. Okay.
No matter how much throttle
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nope. And it doesn't matter suspension setup. It doesn't matter. Okay. The track is what propels you and lifts you on top of the snow. So that's number one. Okay. Number two, and Blake touched on it, is track speed. Okay. Track speed is everything on a deep day or going uphill. It's everything. Like, a 1 mile an hour track speed gain is noticeable, 100%. And when we're seeing like 2 to 3 in certain conditions, depending on your sled and all that stuff, that is giant, like giant. And so that's, that is something that's been really fun to, like, I mean, and you don't notice it until you go back and you're like, like, I've got good traction here, but I'm just not going fast, right? Like, it's something, again, from a seat of the pants, like you said, like, that's something that you can feel, wow, I am going faster right here, right? And then number three is maneuverability, okay? So the trade-off with these big lugged tracks is that it does, in my opinion, compromise the handling a little bit. Okay, I would say that's the biggest thing that I see from comparison. Comparing a 325 is the 325 has an immense amount of traction. So when you get it turned up, it's going up, which is awesome. It's what I fell in love with on the 325. However, like, I'll use this scenario as you're coming downhill and you want to turn and go back up. with those big lug paddles, it has the tendency of pushing that front end down a little bit and then having a little bit of a hard time of making that turn because it's pushing that front end and not wanting to come around. That's what the 2.6 and 2.75 do really well.
Yeah, they do.
They can, you're coming down, you wash out that back, and you turn around and you go up. Right. But here's the problem. With those tracks, it wasn't come down, turn around, and go straight up. It was come down, turn around, angle it, start to get some speed, and then you could turn up, okay? Yep. That's what I loved about the 3.25 was literally I come down, I was a little bit more to get it to spin around, but dude,
when you did, it was
I just pointed it up and like, holy hell, here we go. Okay. Yep. So that was one of the things that was a big focus on the Brant track was being able to have the sled have that same, like, I call it go ability, right? I want it to come down, turn, and be able to go straight up, but I want that turn to take less effort. I want it to be more predictable. I want it to be easier. And so that's where the two different height, the tapering of the, and I got to be careful. It's not a taper.
Okay.
So taper would be 3-1 and then it works its way down. It's a stagger. Okay. So 3-1 in the middle, 2.95 on the outside. And what that does is two things. A, it allows that initiation of getting on edge to be easier. Okay. It kind of rolls on its edge nice and easy. Also, what it does is it allows when you're coming down to pitch up on that lower paddle and to be able to wash out that back like we were able to do with that 2.6, which was really handy in a lot of scenarios. It really allows you to turn on a dime. So those are the big three, okay? Lift, track speed, and maneuverability.
You're starting to steal some of my questions.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, it's okay. I was going to go into kind of pros and cons, but you kind of touched on all that.
Yeah.
I mean,
pros and cons, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we kind of, and there's pros and cons about anything and everything.
Yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it too,
100%. And I guess, so again, when you have this, man, and again, I wish I had like all the documents of the, I don't know, 100 conference calls we had about, what do we need the track to do? What is it? All this stuff. And so, when you talk about, pros and cons, it was all that, we had like the give or take and all of that. And so, I guess, the one thing I would say, especially early is, we messed with the compound so much, we could get the sled to do some magical things, but we didn't have the durability.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we go the other way. And then we could make the track live forever, but it didn't perform on the snow.
Right.
And so like, I'm really proud of my main contact through this whole process was Dan Lochnicker. Dan just lives over the hill from me. He rides in some, talk about the biggest variety of snow conditions you can have. He's got snow that is like that perfect snow I always talk about where you can actually walk on it, Blake, that we can't walk on our snow because
what's that like?
Yeah. He's got that kind of heavy moisture content snow, and then he can literally go on the other side of the valley and ride the crap snow that we ride. And for any of you who haven't ridden my type of snow,
you don't even know.
You don't even know. And you can't even imagine or start to begin to imagine what it is actually like. But what it does is it will show you 100% when a track doesn't work. Okay. But, and that's where that balance is. If I just made a track that worked perfect in my sugar snow, it would suck up in BC. It would just suck.
Yep.
Okay. So, to be able to ride, a bunch of different conditions and have this track perform in all of those conditions was very important, of course, right? So we want our friends up in Canada or that Pacific Northwest, we want you guys to feel all these same benefits that we do. And so, we've done a really good job with that. So, when we talk about the pros now, let's talk about cons, and there's cons with, stock tracks, there's cons with.
Really anything rubber, even in the dirt biking world, right? You have a super gummy tire, it's going to wear fast. You know, like there's anything with rubber, you're going to have a compromise on something, right? Yeah. But I think, you know, I'll let you dive into the cons and what you think. But from what I saw, the thing holds up insanely well, especially for, I mean, sometimes early on in the season, I mean, we're hard enduroing snowmobiles.
Not sometimes, pretty much all the time. Most times. Yeah. And you know, and that's a good point, Blake. I mean, I've literally had tracks, and I've never been able to do this. I've had tracks that I've been able to put on, start a season with a brand new track, take that track off because I couldn't sell the track with it, prototype track, put it on the next year's sled, and then put it on the sled after that. I mean, I've had tracks that I've literally ran 3 years. Now, after 3 years, does it look a little haggard? Yeah, 100%. If you knew what we put things through here, that's a big accomplishment. But I would say, and I was really, when I saw your questions, I'm like, cons. Okay, well, I really worked hard not to have any cons. But if I would say one, I would say our track makes it has some noise, and that noise is actually a little bit from wind, like from what the paddles do. And it's funny when I'm riding it, like. That's when I know I'm getting shit done, is when I can hear that track and it's just, dude, it is working. Like, and you can actually hear it on some of my GoPro videos when I'm going uphill and I'm nuking about 70 miles an hour, and you just hear that thing just pissed off and just, it's like, and so, that may, like, I don't know, maybe some people might not like that. When I hear that noise, it means like,
oh, we're in the sweet spot right
dude,
now.
I'm going to warp speed right now, So, I don't know, man. I've just, we all worked really hard to not have those big sacrifices. And I think you explained it really well. Dirt bike tire or truck tire, right? Truck tire, you could have one that lives forever, but it's going to suck in the snow, or you can have one that's really good in the snow, but it's going to wear out. I think we found a really good balance with that to kind of accomplish that. What's next? What do you got?
Ooh, challenges that you face during the developing stages. And I don't know if this is going to bring up like some PTSD or not.
Yeah.
But I know it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I think we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but to go try to build a track back in COVID days was really challenging. It really set us back. So between the challenges of COVID and then Polaris doing a kick-ass job on the 325, we literally halfway through, when we thought we were just about done, we had to start over. And that was a big kick to the balls, to be honest. It really was, man. Yeah. It was like
it's like you think you got this nice shiny thing and you're ready to show it, and then Polaris is like, oh, but ours is a little shinier.
But ours is better. And this is again, this is why I love all aspects of it. I love that the aftermarket pushes OEM, and then OEM pushes aftermarket. And that is so cool. And it's why we have the machines we have today. And the OEMs will be the first one to say that. And the aftermarket guys, if they know anything, will be also in agreement with that. And so, that's what I'm excited about this. This track will push everything else. Right. Like it will.
It'll force people to do better.
Yeah, it's really good, and it should be, because it took us 5 years and I don't know, lots of money. Sorry, Camso, to get to this point, and so we're really excited about it. Obviously, you can see my passion, my excitement, my big old smile on my face, because finally, I get people will have the opportunity to experience what I've experienced. So. What I want you guys to do is think back over the last 5 years when you've watched any of my videos and you're watching my sled and you're like, he speeds up his videos, right?
I get accused of it very regularly.
You do.
If anything, I'm slowing them down.
that is not speeding up the video. That's just me being super proud of the project that we've put a lot of time into. You know, and again, like I talk about, if you're going to spend this kind of money, it better be that kind of difference, and it is. So I guess that's what I'm most excited about, is for people to finally have the opportunity to experience what I've been. Dude, I've been cheating on you guys big time. Like,
Cat's out of the bag now. They all know.
I'm always a cheater when it comes to snowmobiles, but I've been really cheating over these past few years because, you know, working with something that nobody else could get. So, damn it, now everybody can have it.
I have legitimately had times where I saw you just go like this and then go straight up, and I'm like, man, I wish I had that track today. Like, legitimately.
Well, and with that, like, so last year was really fun. Last year, you know, was our final year. We actually had production tracks,
yes,
and we got a bunch of them, and I was finally able to give the guys. So TJ, Blaine, Andrew, Dylan.
Yep.
I didn't give one to you,
yeah,
but
I wasn't here on allotment day.
you were here on allotment day. But so it was really cool to be able to, like, these guys have been just like everybody else, like, well, I want to play. I want, you know, and I've just, you know, I'd give them the little tease, let them ride it for a second. And they're like, damn, dude, no wonder you made, you know, whatever. Right. And then to watch them and see their reaction. And, you know, Ryan was another one. We had one on Ryan's sled, and Ryan, dude, I swear to God, it reinvented snowmobiling for him, because he just couldn't believe the difference. Not only, I mean, he hadn't ridden a boost in a while, so that was number one.
He was smiling pretty big.
He was, and then on the track, and you know, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being the salesman. Literally, in the truck driving home, like every night off of the mountain, he's like, I just can't believe that track is real, and what it does. And again, dude, it's just like, it fills my heart to like see this reaction out of these guys that spend a lot of damn time on the snow. They know what works and what doesn't work, and to see reactions from them, because I know guys like, you know, the people watching here, you guys are going to have that same reaction, which is really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just cool. I mean, I got to spend a couple more days this last year with Ryan and Andrew riding than I normally do. You know, we were doing a couple showcase videos and stuff, and just to be able to see Ryan like just stand back and just hold a wheelie for forever, and him just like grinning ear to ear. Like, we had so much damn fun on a couple of our days where I was just shooting with them. So that was cool. You know, but you know, going back to this track, you know, and talking about, you know, that seat of the pants feel, right? Like we need to have that thing, right? Mm-hmm. So having that organicness with Ryan or the guys like TJ being like, okay, this thing,
it's not just me saying it.
This thing gets shit done. You know, it's not like a placebo effect where you're like, oh, I put all this time into it and I'm the one riding it, so like it's better. It's like legitimately better. Like, and that's why I say I wish we could put everybody on this sled, because it's kind of like, you know, for you hunters out there, right? You go to a bow shop. What do you do when you go to a bow shop? You shoot every single bow there, so you know which one is the best. Right?
Or which one you like.
Or which one you like.
Yeah.
Right. You know, so again, we have to be the people at the bow shop telling you like, hey, like this is the real deal. But what are people going to be feeling coming off of a, you know, 325 or a 275? You know, I know we touched on it a little bit, but what kind of seat of the pants feel are consumers, I guess, going to get from coming off of one of these newer Polaris tracks?
Good question. And you're right. We have touched on it a little bit, but that's, you know, so that is the sales pitch, right? So a guy watches this video and is trying to figure out like, what am I going to gain from this investment? Okay. So, first thing you're going to notice right away is that the sled gets up on top of the snow. So again, I'm going to be kind of repeating some of the things, but from the seat of the pants, what you will feel instantly from the sled is that the sled lifts. Okay. and that is the key to winning the day on, like we talked about, on those days that we all dream of. Okay, is propelling that snowmobile to go forward. Okay. Number two, what you're going to feel is, and again, I'll go back to how this wasn't, in my opinion, when we started the original design of the track, this wasn't like my top priority, but it ended up being one of the things that I think it benefited the rider the most of, and that is the confidence and control that the track gives you from a handling perspective. And that's what I really love about it. Yeah, I love that it lifts. I love that it's faster. I like that part, but I like that when I'm in that situation where I'm really pushing myself and my equipment, that it is predictable. It does what I want it to do, and it gets me out of shit that like could have been bad. I love that fact. And it instills a new confidence in me as a rider that I didn't have before. And that is invaluable. I mean, like, you can't buy talent.
Right.
Okay. But if you can do something to your snowmobile that instills more confidence, that is as close to buying talent as it gets.
I mean, we might even be able to call this insurance. You know, if you spend $2,000 on a track that keeps you from wrecking $2,000 on your snowmobile, I think it's money well spent.
100%.
And, you know, and I've seen this.
You were in insurance.
Yeah. We had a year this last year. But, you know, following you around, you know, obviously I have to get to where you get, you know, most of the time. I mean, there's obviously places you go that I'm like, dude, there's no way in hell. You know, but you have to have that confidence to do that. And you have to know what your sled's going to do at every single moment. And following you around where I'm like, okay, he goes in between these two little trees, log hop, trenches it out, unbelievable. And then I'm like sitting back there like, okay, dude, like, where am I going to go? You know, and that's the classic Chris line. He's like, yeah, just follow me up here. It's like, no big deal. And it's like, there's one line, the Chris one line, and you're like, well, I'm gonna get stuck.
Yeah.
You know, so
well, Blake, I think what's awesome is, and again, this is what happens when you gain that confidence. Like, I'll use me for example, right? So like that scenario you just explained, I know all of our listeners or viewers, they feel that same thing. Like, either A, they're that person who just like looks at a line and says, oh, sweet, let's go up here. Come on, guys, follow me. And the guy behind says, what the F, dude? No way, right? So like, I think that's what's like, just hearing you talk, you have seen in my riding that confidence of literally just like, oh, okay, cool, I'm just going to roll up here. It's not a big deal. And you look at it like, and it's not necessarily a skill thing. I just don't think my snowmobile is going to go there with me.
Yeah, I don't think I have enough momentum from right here to get there.
Yeah.
Right.
And those types of things, like, that's the track.
That's the track.
And it's so invaluable, and it's so like, I kind of take it for granted a little bit, because it's just, I mean, I've been riding those tracks on my sleds for the last 5 years, and I think that is the norm. Yeah. And it's not.
Well, it is now.
It is now.
It is now.
Cool.
I think, you know, I think to close out, you know, to some, you know, people listening to this, it's just a track, and you guys have been talking for what, 50 minutes about a track. But it's clearly more than just a track to you. You know, like, you obviously wanted to take this on to push the envelope, to push riding, to push your riding, but also allow you to help other people push their riding as well. Yeah. So kind of maybe, you know, dive into that a little bit. You know, it's more than just a track to you.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. And I kind of knew from the get-go, especially with how much time and resources and effort that was going into this, I knew it was going to be expensive. And so, which was even more of my push and motivation to lean on these guys to be, that this needs to be undoubtedly the best.
Right.
Like from
Yeah, otherwise you're not going to put your name on it.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, the best, when I say the best at what? Well, the best at exactly what I described, to take a rider that is aggressive, who wants to gain that newfound confidence, like what I've achieved over the last few years in my riding, and to push himself to that next level. That was what I had in my head. Like, if that was something that is attainable and that people can actually go out and experience, then, and to put my name on it at the same time, like that's a win, right? Like that was the whole goal, and what I was trying to accomplish is like I kind of said it. You can't buy talent.
No.
But to be able to, and I'll use the shocks as an example. The shocks do a very similar thing for me. I know when I go into a trenched out, gnarly, whooped out whatever on the side of a hill, that my sled is going to be predictable and handle, and I'm not going to lose edge and fall down into the trees. Right. Like, I know that, and that is worth that investment to me. And I can say the exact same thing about this track, is that it instills a confidence in me that I didn't have before, and my sled does things that a normal sled can't because of that. And so it was scary, some of the challenges we had. It was terrifying to put your name on something that needs to perform. And so again, it's why it's taken 5 years, and it's why it's been this very long battle, but we're here finally. And like I said, I'm just excited for people to finally experience what God dang, this fly. I'm really excited for people to finally experience what I've been living with for the past few. Yeah.
I think it's been cool to see. Cool that we get to actually announce it now.
Yeah.
Well, and what is the official name of the track?
Yeah. So and this was one of your questions on here, and maybe we skirted it. What was the most challenging thing in the whole process of the track?
The name.
It was the damn name. Okay. Yeah. So we all in the shop here, I think we submitted like 20 names to Camso, and they're owned by Michelin, so it's this big corporate thing, and licensing and just everything. And so like the name that they ended up settling on, I'm gonna freaking whap this fly into. Sorry.
He's coming for you.
So the name that we ended up settling on is the Camso brand Powlifter 310. So that was a very difficult part. Okay, that's what we ended up. I say the word settle on because it wasn't my preferred, but then I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, all right, well, I do like Pow, and I do like when my sled lifts up on top. Powlifter.
It's a win-win.
It's the Powlifter 3000.
Yeah.
We could have some fun with it, but the Brant 310, the Powlifter 310, Cheater 310, whatever, right? And then one thing that we didn't touch on, one other thing that Camso has done here that is first ever for them, and I hope even instills more confidence in you guys from a buying perspective, is, Camso is a giant company, and they sell to all of these distributors all over the world, and they have all these big partners. And so, when we started talking about selling the track, I told them, I've been working with you guys hand in hand from step one, and I want to complete this process by putting my money where my mouth is, and I want to be the sole distributor in the United States for this track. And so it took some figuring and some time, but that's how it is for this first year. All the tracks for the U.S. will only be available at Brandt's Backcountry Adventure. I've got some awesome strategic partners in mind that I'm going to work with in the U.S. To help kind of get the word out, and they're going to help facilitate sales and all of that stuff. So we'll be announcing that and working with those guys very soon. But yeah, the track for the first year, limited quantities for year one, and I just said, I'll prove to you how badass it is. I'm going to buy every single one of them, and I'm going to sell them because I believe in it that much. And so, yeah, a little terrifying, but not really. Like, yeah. I know it's good. I know once people experience it, they're going to love it, and they're going to tell their buddies, and it's gonna be good. So, yeah. So for those of you guys wondering, well, how the heck do I get a track? It's pretty simple. You go to chrisbrant.com, you buy a track, and
we ship it to your door.
We ship it to your door, and you throw it on, and you go into cheater mode like I've been for the last few years.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool deal, man. You got sole distributorship, and you believe in the product, and you're putting your name on it. And so if you want a track, you got to call the man here himself. So
that's right.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. It was a big relief to finally be able to talk about the damn thing. I love all of you guys who, snoop around on our social posts and be like, hey, what's that track on that snowmobile? And all I do is just smile and say, it's soon, it's coming. Well, it's here, finally. Yep. So appreciate, as always, you guys tuning in and listening. It's good to be back. Dude, it's like, get ready for snowmobile time again. I love that time of year. Yep. So we'll be kicking off, our random podcast schedule that we always have. But love talking to you guys. And as always, if you ever have any comments, feel free to hit us up. Or if you ever have any questions, hit us up in the comments on the YouTube page, and or shoot me an email off of the website, or we're always here. Give us a call at the office. So until then. Powlift 310.
Powlift 3000.
No, Powlifter.
Powlifter 3000.
Yeah, Powlifter 3000 is live and ready to roll.
Get you some.
Get you some. Thanks, guys.